Are you ready to upgrade your mindset and continue supporting your healing journey? Join the collective today. This membership gives you access to meditations, healing tools, guest healers, and manifestation workshops. Join today for just $44 a month and start manifesting more abundance in your life. Hello, welcome back to Breathe More. I am recording this episode right after holding space for a private client. This was new client. I didn't know anything about them. It was a referral from a friend who has also done my work. And she just had told me that her uncle and cousin and also other family members were supposed to attend. And they were having a hard time breathing. There was a lot of stress, health issues in the family. And she just thought that I could help them out. And so this session was 100% in Spanish. And it was the first time in a while, actually, that I've held space in Spanish. And it was so beautiful. And I wanted to share a little bit about it, obviously respecting their privacy, but I think a lot of us can relate to this. So, what started out just as a very practical guidance in our session of me explaining to them how our breath reflects our emotions. And depending on how we're feeling, our breathing is going to change. And it's important for us to be conscious of our breath. And so, one tip that I always give my clients is inviting them throughout their day just to check in with their breath and their body and with their emotions. How am I breathing right now? How is my body? Am I in a body position where I'm feeling shut down, stressed out, in protective mode? Am I holding my breath? Am I breathing really shallow? Am I feeling stressed? Am I happy? And so having that awareness in itself and then being able to support your body, mind, and spirit through your breath is foundational work. It's really important and it's going to have a huge shift in your life. So I guided them through that practices first, just noticing how they're breathing. How do they feel if they drop their breathing to using their diaphragm? So we practice breathing using their diaphragm. And it was really cute. The father, who's probably in his late 60s, 70s, Mexican man who has never done any mindfulness stuff in his life, was starting to feel like a deep relaxation. He's like, I feel like I'm going to fall asleep. Like I'm feeling so relaxed and calm. And so I was just reflecting back, like, great. That's exactly how we want you to feel because you've been so stressed out. He had just had open heart surgery like a month ago and dealing with just the healing of that and experiencing fluid in his lungs and just having a hard time breathing physically. And then with that, I guided them to go into the active breathing. If you've experienced my breath work, you know that we go deep with this work. Honestly, it doesn't matter who I'm holding space with. I really honor what's coming up for my client or the group, and I communicate that. And so, what I mean by that is, I am a clairvoyant, and I have found that this gift further developed when I first just started to hold breathwork circles at yoga studios. And I found myself receiving messages, whether I would get images, I would see either little scenes or just see pictures of things, or I would hear. So I'm also clairaudient. I would hear a message. And when I first started to do this work 8 years ago, I was confused by what was happening. I'm like, oh, I don't know why this is coming to my brain right now. I don't know why I'm thinking this. I don't know why I'm seeing this. But it got to the point where the more I tried to ignore it, the louder it got. So I just decided to share it with the group. And I got reflection, like people would come up to me after the class saying that what I was saying, they were thinking at the time, or that's how they were feeling, or they felt like I was in their mind, like basically putting words to how they were feeling. So from that moment on, I just trusted it and I continued to communicate with my clients what I saw. And so for this session, I didn't hold back, even though they're completely new to the healing world, had no idea what I was going to say or what it was going to be like, but I really trusted that this needed to be communicated to them. So what was coming loudly in their private session was an invitation to connect with their inner child. Again, this is a father and son. They're in a very vulnerable situation where they're lying down, breathing together. They've never done this before. And I later learned that they don't have a good relationship, actually. So for them to put their differences aside and just show up, first for themselves and then for each other, was beyond healing. So in my guidance, I had them bring in, while they were actively breathing, connect with their inner child and think about what they're still carrying from the time that they were a child, what resentments, what pain. And I just felt a lot of pressure in my heart center when I was guiding them to connect with this. But immediately, like, emotions were flowing. And there was resistance to really allowing the body to feel and to express it, again, because it's very vulnerable and intimate and uncomfortable. And crying together, like as a family, was not something that they've done before. So I had to remind them out loud and also give them permission, like, it's okay for you to cry in front of your dad. Señor, it's okay for you to cry in front of your daughter. Like, it doesn't mean that you're weak. It doesn't mean that anything. Like, you are safe here. There's no judgment. And once that permission was granted, this massive healing and compassion started to happen. And I started to get emotional. I started to cry as well as I was holding space, because this was generational healing happening in front of my eyes. What they thought that they were just going to do is learn some breathing techniques ended up being this profound, life-changing moment for themselves, where their inner child was finally, for the first time, feeling heard, feeling like they mattered, being acknowledged for the suffering that they went through, the pain that they endured, the trauma, the abuse, and giving their inner child to also let go of that, to let them know that that's not what their life is like today. And I'm sorry that we experienced that. But it also has shaped so much of who we are and our strength and our resilience, and us not giving up just because we weren't given the resources or the tools or the encouragement when we were younger to do what we wanted to do. And so towards the end, it was that reflection of recognizing how strong they have been, how resilient, how brave, that even everything that they went through, maybe having no one in their life that believed in them, that encouraged them, they still were able to accomplish so much that they wanted in their life. And that is the energy that I guided them to expand within their body. After they released, after they reconciled and healed and gave a lot of love and support to their inner child, we were able to create space for something new, for a sense of hope, for a sense of peace, for forgiveness. And this was just such a reminder to me. And again, I do this work so much, right? Like, this is my business. And a lot of my work has also transitioned more to a mentor role, into the accountability and the goal setting and manifestation, which is really expansive and beautiful work. And so it has been a while since I've held space for like deep, deep healing, deep trauma work. And I felt like it just took me back to my core, to the core of the work that I've done, and had me feel so grateful for what I get to do, so grateful for the trust that people have in me to hold space for them, for something so profound and deep, and also so grateful for the courage that people have to show up for their sessions. Because even if they don't know what's going to happen or what to expect, or maybe they come in with their own expectations of what it's going to be like, doing this work with me takes courage, and allowing themselves to go to that place, that darkness, that past that a lot of people don't want to revisit, right? We just want to move on. We want to be in the future. We think that what happened in the past has stayed in the past, but the fact is that when we take some time to actually reflect and feel and become aware, we're able to notice, oh, actually, I'm just reliving my past. That pain that I think have told myself that's no longer there, it's actually very present. And it has manifested into physical things, into disease. It has manifested into my anxiety, into my depression, my insomnia. And so I always celebrate my clients when they decide to show up for themselves, when they make the decision like, enough is enough. I don't want to feel like this anymore. I'm kind of desperate. I've tried it all and nothing has really worked. I've gotten some improvement, but I'm still feeling this deep pain. And then they come to me and then I guide them in through a series of journeys that we go on to get to a place where their nervous system is more regulated, to get to a place where they start to trust themselves and feel more confident and come back to a place of power and confidence, and then make the decision and promises to themselves. This is the last part of today's session of what promises are you making to yourself moving forward? How are you going to treat yourself? How are you going to show up for yourself? And the other part to today's session was a reminder that as personal as it feels when other people do shitty things to us or treat us in a way that we shouldn't be treated, reminding them that it's not personal, that that's just a reflection and a manifestation of their own traumas, of their lack of tools, of their lack of awareness. And this is never to excuse someone. But when we're able to see things through that lens, again, we feel empowered. No one can take away our power. We can't be in a place of victim anymore. And we're able to set boundaries for ourselves and do things differently and communicate to someone that's not okay. I'm not going to allow that anymore. Maybe you're changing how you show up, or maybe you decide you no longer want to show up for that person because at the end of the day, it's more toxic for you. And you're finally going to allow yourself to advocate for yourself and to not allow that behavior to happen. So I wanted to share this as an invitation to you as well, to take a moment to reflect on your life, to reflect on your health, on how you're feeling, on what thoughts you've been having in your mind on a loop. What stories have you been telling yourself? And is that a reflection that maybe your inner child needs some support right now? Needs some healing, some attention? And if so, taking a moment just by simply closing your eyes and taking some deep breaths in and out, to help you arrive to this present moment, to help your body feel safe. And then from that place of feeling grounded and supported, imagining yourself just having a conversation with your inner child, asking your inner child, what's going on? How are you feeling? What do you need from me? And then hopefully you're able to give those things to your inner child and to yourself. Really honoring that. And once you do that, I wouldn't be surprised if you start to feel more at peace. If that thing that was really stressing you out and overwhelming you starts to feel more manageable. Maybe you even are able to have a different perspective on it and a different solution. You're able to take a different action because, again, now you're coming from a place of being in your power, of being clear. You're not going into your trauma responses. And so now it's the present adult who's making decisions, who's taking action, who's communicating, not the scared, abandoned, stressed out, and overwhelmed inner child. Another way that you can connect with your inner child, this is what I do every single morning. I actually have a picture of me as a child on my altar, and every morning I have 2 candles that I light. One of them is for my inner child. And I just take a moment to connect with her and to talk to her and to celebrate on her, love her, remind her of her gifts, of her magic. And then if she is feeling stressed out or overwhelmed, I remind her that I'm taking care of that. She doesn't have to worry about that. I'm reaching out for support, calling in those miracles. And at the core, we have everything that we need and beyond. So even though this is feeling really scary, this uncertainty, this unknown, we're going to figure it out the way that we always have. And that simple ritual that I have in the mornings has helped to shift my energy so much and has helped me feel less overwhelmed and less stressed out with all the responsibilities and all the stuff that I'm dealing with behind the scenes in my personal life. It really has been another life-changing practice that I've done. And so if this is resonating with you, this practice, I also invite you to do that. In addition to just connecting in meditation with your inner child. Another thing that you can also do is journal. Maybe you're writing a letter to you as a child and just letting yourself rewrite. So again, it's important to acknowledge any strong emotion or anything that maybe you've been avoiding or pushing down or not acknowledging. This is your opportunity to let that come to the surface. And so if that means you're starting to feel emotional, let yourself cry. It's okay. There are so many people who are uncomfortable with feeling. And as a whole, as a society, feelings have been demonized. I mean, especially for both sexes, for both genders. Women, if we are expressing our emotions, it's immediately labeled as like, we're too emotional, we can't control, oh, we can't trust her because whatever you say to her, she starts to cry. And so there's been this labeling that if you are emotional, if you're more in touch with your emotions, you must be weak. You must not be as strong. And then what I tend to see in men, especially older men, is it's also unsafe for them to express emotions. They were never given permission to. They always had to remain strong. They couldn't show anything. Like the only emotion that I guess it's permissible is to be angry. That shows strength. And so it's all this undoing, right? All this unprogramming and acknowledging that all emotions have a place. They're all trying to communicate something that's going on in our life, something that's happened, something that's unresolved. And the sooner more people start to connect and let themselves feel in a healthy way, not having outbursts, not projecting it or taking it out on anyone else, not blaming, but doing this for you, that will create such a deep healing and a new foundation for a different way of showing up for yourself and for others. And that's what I witnessed in today's session with my clients, with the father-daughter. And I hope that they continue to take these exercises and suggestions that I made for them to create some pauses, to have compassion for each other and more understanding. And hopefully it opened up as well for more dialogue, more vulnerable conversations, more openness about what people are currently struggling with so that it no longer manifests in other ways in toxicity and physical manifestations. So I hope that you found today's session just a moment of pause and reflection and helping you also just be more compassionate with yourself and recognize maybe what next actions you need to take so that you can feel more at ease, more at peace, so you can have more love for yourself, more compassion and patience. If you feel like you would like to explore this more, I'm currently taking private clients as a way to help you accelerate your healing. It doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to be traumatic. I've come to a place where I work really quickly with my clients. And so what used to take longer is now we're quantum leaping, but still in a way that doesn't overwhelm your nervous system. That's a big part of how I hold space, where this is not just bringing to the forefront all this unresolved trauma, but it's taking our time and doing things to regulate yourself and create some safety so that you can hold it in a way that your body can process it and then release it. Click on the show notes to find ways that we can work together. Also, just reach out if this episode resonated with you. It's like, wow, I would love to do a healing session with my family. I also do that as well for others, not just for friends. So I would love to hold space for you and help you get some peace in your heart and healing, whether it's generationally, whether it's just for yourself. I'm here for you. And again, I celebrate you for recognizing that there is still some work. There will always be work, healing that would be beneficial. And I always celebrate and thank those of you who are doing this work. So thank you. All right. I will see you and talk to you next time. I hope you are well, and I look forward to hearing from you.